Coach T here. And again, just a reminder, my setup has changed. I have to do some upgrades and updates on my audio system and my laptop. So please bear with me. Listen to the message, not pay attention to the aesthetics. So, as normal, we're going to get started. The topic, pardon me, the topic for tonight is having to work 2 times harder when dealing with cluster B personalities. And as you guys know, I say cluster B personalities, not just narcissism or psychopathy. It's a whole cocktail. So, let us get started, Hans. I am going to recite Psalms 91 and keep it at that. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him shall I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and the adder, the young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet. Because he hath set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him, and shew him my salvation. May you add a blessing to the reading of the word, as we used to say when I was growing up. Oh, beloveds, Phoenix's Rising Academy. It has been quite a week. People have been talking about the Schumann resonance and the geometrical pattern that it produced. Also, some planets that were in retrograde or whatever. I will share with you my little tidbits about um, the Schumann resonance, and or basically for the last 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, what's I have felt. So what I literally saw before the Schumann uh, DNA Merkaba, as some are calling it, I have no idea because I haven't studied it, so I'm not going to pretend. But I know what I was feeling, and I was feeling a lot of demonic resistance. Hallelujah. I had felt a lot of demonic resistance to me just doing simple things, right? And again, I've had to start over again because of the cluster B stalkers that ended up following me to my new beginning, sabotaging it once again. And it's the third time I've had to start over again, and the second time I've had to move. So what I was feeling, I said, okay, this is over now, right? The Most High God was like, okay, no, they're being stubborn. So when I tell you, this is why I share my experience with you. I am not giving a sad story, though a lot of it is sad. What I am sharing with you is what happened, the divine wisdom that I received from it, and how I transformed and moved on, right? And it's been frustrating for me as a life coach and a narc coach. And that is what the devil wanted it to be. They did not want me to be in my purpose, right? They did not want me to be telling black women, let alone black lesbians and trans women, about how to protect yourself when you are in warfare with a cluster B personality. I talked to somebody at my job who was family, and they have a spouse who is in a custody battle with a narcissist and is being abused. And so it was just beautiful seeing God will always remind you what your purpose, why you are in your purpose, why he picked you. Because the enemy will do things to try and get you to give up. They exploit your humanness, your spirit, your being a spiritual being, and being limited in this temporal dense world. I remember thinking to myself, this atmosphere is too dense. I was probably about anywhere between 5 and 8 years old at the time. And I had just levitated from down from the big toy. Okay, I'm not hiding myself anymore. I'm not hiding my gifts. I'm not hiding that I was aware before awareness was a popular thing. And I don't want you to be hiding yourself. That's why working with me, we will excavate and we will find your higher self, your authentic self, and reconnect you. Because when you know yourself, you know God. You are your soulmate. Those are, oh, I want to be with my soulmate. You can't be with your soulmate until you become your own soulmate. Kanye West says, I got my own D. You feel me? But what I got, back to the Schumann, or just that whole time, because it's been about 3 weeks now, and it was really intense. I mean, intense. And I felt it, of course, because super empath. And I felt it, and I said, Most High God, I said, Mama, it feels like what I saw in the spiritual realm. I'll just describe that. There was demonic resistance. I remembered feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, and flustered because it's like, oh my God, here we go again. Like, give up already. You know, as far as the demonic resistance, like there was just so much thick resistance. Girl, I was like, okay, Ma. And then I'm not going to say days or whatever hours, but just then I had got a scene in my mind's eye in quiet and stillness of like the archer's bow. And it's just the string that was being pulled back. So what I saw was the bow being pulled back. So this is galactic. A bow being pulled back, the string from that bow, and then certain strings, okay, like on a guitar. So just imagine this. An archer is pulling back a bow, and in behind that bow, or on the side of that archer, but lined up with the triangle shape that is made by the archer pulling, right, the string. I don't know what it's called, so forgive me. Somebody put it in the comments. It pulls back, and then you see, and then I saw the strings, okay, that I can only, like guitar strings, okay, but they were just glowing strings. And these represented timelines. Okay, so past, present, future, but these were past. Okay, and I was taking it as okay, because and what I said is like I said, Mama, this feels like Mercury retrograde. What is happening? So I think Saturn either went into retrograde or came out. I'm not sure. Please don't quote me. If you guys know, please put it in the comments. Um, And so I saw, and what I saw for me there were certain times that were being plucked, and in my journey, mind you, okay? So if you guys resonate with this, if you've had similar visions, let me know, please. So it was timelines in my life, and I'm thinking, okay, wait, because Mercury retrograde had will take you back, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. One thing, and I said this in another podcast, and I may not do it justice now, but I mentioned Mercury retrograde and the revelation, as above, so below, right? So the revelation for me with Mercury retrograde, because a lot of the witches and the warlocks will do their rituals on Mercury retrograde. So I was getting Mercury retrograde rituals, right? Because they were thinking, okay, well, Mercury retrograde goes backwards, so we're gonna try and make you go back instead of going forward and making progress. And that's not the way that it works, though. So if Mercury retrograde, depending on the planet and other stuff, of the astrological sign that the planet is in, okay, um, is what it goes for. Okay, like I know you who are actually experts in astrology um, know this stuff. So, but I'm just saying in my layman's terms. Um, so what if you have not finished something, if you have not done something that you were supposed to do or learned a lesson, basically, then you will come back on it and you will have to reap what you've sown, and to say, and you have to make it right. So that's what I thought that this was, and I was looking for it, but I couldn't find it. And I wasn't being shown acutely. It was not a vivid vision like that. It was when there was a few strings that were plucked loosely and became loose. Okay? And I saw some images and I knew that it had to do with me, but it was also something that I wasn't supposed, and I got scared because I'm like, okay, now what did I not do? Right? Okay, perfectionist here. And I'm like, okay, God, I thought I did what you wanted me to do, Jiminy's, you know? And it wasn't that. So when I calmed down and got off, because I did have a little bit of a temper tantrum and blocked. And so when I calmed down and I asked to see it again, I put myself there again with the help of actually another seer that I was listening to on YouTube, and it jogged my memory. And I said, oh, let me go back. And what the Most High was revealing was these were the times when if you've had similar, please let me know. But when my enemies had done the worst or done something. And so basically what I was being shown, and it was a lot, it was like about 5 or 6. And I'm not sure if that's years or I don't know what that months or I don't know. I didn't ask for clarity. All I knew is that once I got clarity on that, is that archer pulling back the bow string and those strings being plucked on the side and revealed to me as timelines, right? So moments in my life, right? That were being plucked. And but it wasn't anything that I had done. It was what they had done to me. And I'm not going to even read into it because I don't know that. All I know is that it wasn't me. And it was something that was done to me. And that's what they're going to get their butts kicked for, is what you did to me on those timelines. And I'm not going to go into what those timelines are. Not at all. Because I have my haters who watch this, listen, and they listen obsessively, but they hide. They it's like they shadow ban, spiritually shadow ban me, right? They do witchcraft on my channel. They've done witchcraft on my trademark where it's locked up. I can't get in, I can't get out. I have never, I mean, I've been so frustrated to the point of tears because I can't, when we're dealing with this level of narcissism, this, their delusions know no bounds, right? And, but one thing it reminded me of, I have to remember, they, they built an army against us, Phoenix is rising. They built an army against us and still could not devour us. Unfortunately, we lost those that we loved around us, and I was grieving that. So whatever was coming up, I was grieving that during, these last 3 weeks with the solar flares or whatever. It's just been an emotional time. And I was grieving Brittany Elizabeth Adams, who was killed by black goo that was created and sent for me. And this was my first encounter with it. And it wasn't the first time that they were doing witchcraft on me while I was on homeless on the streets. I mean, these people were trying to kill me. And I was also reminded when I was so afraid to say my name because of the accusatory looks that I would get, or the looks of disgust, or the shock, and like people looking at you like they know you but they don't know you. Somebody, which I've already mentioned their names, my harassers' names, and you guys have their images, so um, I'm not going to keep doing it because they're going down and the world's going to know their name. And I think that's what's happening for a lot of us. So those of us who have been feeling exhausted, those of us who have been like, oh, I can't even move, I don't even know, I'm not, I mean, I'm inspired but I'm not, you know what I mean? It's like I'm trying to get momentum again, but I am just exhausted. And that's because a lot of us had our progress sabotaged. And that's what brought me to the topic. We have to, 2 times harder. When you're dealing with cluster B personalities, we have to work 2 times harder because they are always going to be sabotaging us, whether we are in direct contact with them or they are hovering in the physical or in the spiritual. And yes, people can haunt you while they're alive. It's called projecting their consciousness. This is the astral projecting. People think that, oh, it's okay. If you guys go to my TikTok, I found, and the Most High God led me to this woman who was at a psychic fair. And I used to do those. I mean, I was doing craft fairs and everything, and it was just the most beautiful thing until my enemies started showing up like a virus to kind of take over. They were literally encroaching. They believed that they had gotten enough sacrifices and done enough rituals to Santa Muerte that they could now start positioning themselves openly. Okay? And so that's what they were doing. And so it no longer became fun. It literally became hostile. And I unfortunately felt that again today when I was enjoying myself for the first time in God knows how long. And just enjoying myself being out, enjoying myself finally being in an apartment and only having to pay a month's worth instead of every week, and having it be under $3,000. You know, like, and here's the thing too with that. I was doing a gratitude because and I recognized it, but I was faintly kind of falling for it. I got to be honest. I was kind of like, yeah, what does it mean? Nobody really, my YouTube, I'd only have 132 subscribers, and nobody really, listens to my videos or my podcasts, and I haven't been able to set it up the way that I would like to set it up. And I'm talking about things, and nobody seems to really be interested, but I'm doing it anyway, right? Like most, I was like, go ahead and do a video, or go ahead and do a podcast, and Jiminy Christmas, um, and so I had to say, okay, you know what, I'm grateful. So when I think about those times, I had to do my gratitude list. I had to speak out loud that I'm grateful that I have a roof over my head, that I'm grateful that I only spent one night, and that was because of me. I was procrastinating. I didn't want to follow directions. I was like, no, I don't want to do this because I was exhausted. I wanted to do something my way. And even though I had learned the lesson, I was starting to backslide. Right? And this is why you constantly have to be vigilant, and this is why you need a coach, because you need a coach to make sure that can pinpoint, hey, you're backsliding. And backsliding means that you're resting on your laurels and you're not doing your prayers. You're not doing your meditations. You're not chanting the mantras to fight off the ugly spells, the skin rashes, to make you seem ugly, to make you seem stupid, right? And I swear they have a mantra for it. Okay, and that is something that no one can take away. So make sure that you guys subscribe if you haven't already. Again, my name is Tennille, and I am a transformational coach and a narc coach, and I specialize in helping black lesbians between and trans between 30 and 50 years old who are just ready to be a part of a community, a safe space to heal, right? To have the steps to heal those generational curses, in the 4 steps: reveal, heal, grow, and show. Reveal, you need revelation, right? And even because a lot of times we get revelation about something, I get revelation about things all the time, and I'll be like, huh, and I'll keep walking, right? Because I'm always distracted, but I have to file it away, right? But I know that when, like with alcoholics, they have Alcoholics Anonymous, right? You have Narcotics Anonymous, right? I mean, and you really need. That's why I created the Phoenix Rising Academy, because we are studying how to identify cluster B personalities, what their tactics are, what they do, why they are so successful in the world, and how we as empaths have allowed ourselves to be open so that these demons can have a foothold inside of us. Right? So that's what the purpose of Phoenix's Rising Academy is, and me as a coach, and me creating a space for black lesbians and trans women who we don't have that voice, right? I don't, and I don't, I know this is going to sound a certain way, but my focus is not your pronouns. My focus is not about whether you are a biological woman or not. And so we won't discuss that. What we're going to be discussing is these patterns that you need to get rid of. How do I transition out of being in an abusive relationship for 20 years and not being afraid to say my own name, being afraid to speak it? How do I get back? What mantras do I chant? What prayers do I recite to defend myself from this enemy that keeps attacking me? How do I realize? How do I not freak out? How do I control my emotions? Okay? Especially for us, I'm a STEM, but I would say that I'm a STEM. But stems and FEMS. How do we control our emotions? I think it's maybe for everybody. How do we control our emotions? Right? How do I have patience when I am getting my butt beat psychologically, physically, and spiritually in the physical realm and in the astral realm? How? And I'm that coach that can help you get there. I can show you. That's why they don't want me to do it, because I swear I was started out intermittent fasting, and I was having a debate because I was talking to somebody online, and I said, well, hey, I mean, I as soon as I started, and I wasn't even I didn't change too much. The only thing that I changed was smoking, and smoking kicks your digestive butt. I mean, it kicks the digestive system. It kicks the walls. I mean, and I felt it before, because I remember when the first time I quit smoking, it was like it moved my bowels. Like I was like, oh God, I didn't realize. You know what I mean? Like you don't realize what it does to your organs. We're talking about the heart and the lungs, but we're never the digestive system. So my digestive system, I look like I'm like, gratefully, I don't look like I'm pregnant, but I look like, you know. And wasn't happy about that. But um, because I didn't really, the only thing I pretty much changed was the smoking, but I was still doing, but now it became, a different thing anyway. But I was debating on somebody. I was like, okay, well, but you got to be careful when you're intermittent fasting, right? But then God had to check me and say, hey, you weren't intermittent fasting. You were literally fasting. Like sometimes God would have me fast for 7 days, you know, eat a little bit of, eat maybe 1,000 calories and then go, because these guys were attacking. I was being attacked so much. Death spells, swap smells. I had people projecting their own sicknesses and diseases, right? If you've watched the movie Get Out, where you have these rich, um, white and Jewish families that are kidnapping these black people, right? How many people? They said anywhere between 200 and 8,000 kids are being kidnapped. I mean, I can't even fathom that, right? Like I'm already overwhelmed by that number, and there's so much that's coming out that it's making it seem benign. They're just it's like they're trying to, when you overload people with all this pedophilia and I mean, let's not even get into the animals, because one of my babies was saved from being pretty much sex trafficked as a dog. Pitties being their favorite in Sacramento, California. Like these people were doing sick things, right? My point is, and talking to this guy, that the Most High had to say, look, you had to starve yourself to reach dimensions that you would not normally reach if I ate and eaten anything, if that makes sense, right? I had to literally tap out because I wasn't going to do any drugs, of course, right? And I wasn't drinking. I mean, I had to stop. I was very careful because I was like, okay, I realized, like I practice what I preach with you guys. And so when I tell you Phoenixes that about something, it's telling you from experience, because I've been attacked. As soon as I had a drink, I remember I had a thing of Moscato, just, the little 4-pack bottles that they got. And I got some Moscato and I was just chilling. I was like, hey, I deserve it. And I did, right? But the devil will take anything as an opening. You were literally just exploited as a being. So it's not that these guys are necessarily psychic. They're just have feelers out to when you got your defenses a little bit down. And they know that the problem with that is having your defenses up too much means that you got to reconnect with the Most High God again. Right? It's like that you're connected, but not on that level that you were connected, because you're kind of calloused over. All right. So, and you need to thaw out. So when, um, so the Most High was like, no, you had to keep yourself pure. And the fasting helped me because these guys were trying to cause me to have a heart attack. I was still drinking water. I had my fruits and vegetables. I noticed that since I've been here, one thing that they did was some kind of spell or curse or hex or whatever. I don't know what it's called specifically, but all I know is that as soon as I woke up the next morning. I woke up a morning, and I was like, ugh, when I, had my smoothies. I was eating my salads and my spinach, and had my favorite salad dressing on there. And I was like, okay, I do this all the time. This is not normal. So I was able to, because of the lifestyle change that I had made, and the being obedient to the Most High, I was able to recognize that what was witchcraft when my taste buds changed so drastically that I felt like throwing up. And actually, I felt grossed out by like it was moldy. That's the way it was looking to me, right? When people do a lot of witchcraft every damn day, and they want to cover you, they want to encase you, they want to freeze you, they want to bring chaos to you, right? For us seers, for us clairs, which is anybody, but for us clairs that are in tune with our gifts, we can see a world that is so desolate and so torn down. And I mean, that's what I was seeing. It wasn't that the food was clean. I just bought a salad and I was like, okay, it's still coming with me, right? Because this person, when you have somebody that is so jealous of you that they're doing rituals to try and swap destinies, which means that they have to be you and kill you off. Again, the movie Get Out. That's what it was telling you. It's multifaceted. As long as you can, and basically, what did that woman do? I'm so glad that that I have a Most High God. See, this is why you do your work and you do your research and you read outside of the box. I'm going to start reading. How you guys are going to help me read by listening to me read these supernatural, spiritual cult books. Oh, my baby's happy. Prosperity was sleeping and she was wagging her tail really hard. So I'm like, yay. But then I've had to protect my girls, right? So anyway, I'm going to start reading. But, I mean, if they try and try and produce an illusion because everything starts spiritual. What have I said with you guys, Phoenixes? Before somebody meets you, they meet your spirit. So where we've been gaslit not to trust what we energetically perceive from other people around us. Oh, you smelt sulfur and you know, I all I can tell is that it's a mixture of. I use Fabuloso lavender and I mix it with bleach, and it has a kind of a smell. And but I've smelt this smell from people, from actual, humans, men and women. And it's a demonic smell. It's an entity. There was a woman who passed me, and she's passed me before. Um, when I was just going to my storage, and she had passed me, though this time I was walking the babes, I think, and I smelt her, and I just had to stop because it was like I had to gasp for air. I have smelt and this was a female, and she was walking around like nothing happened. Like she was fine. And I'm like, dude, do you realize that you reek? I mean, you smell. You smell, you stink. You stink. And I had two people in my life who are cluster B personalities and way gone. And that was Charisse and Olga Texador. And I've just talked about both of them. Please go to my Blue Phoenix Rising Media LLC. Uh, link is in the description here. But please go there and you can see my documentary. And every time I get sabotaged in finishing the documentary, it's a pattern that's been created. So this is what I'm saying. The Most High revealed to me that because they kept sabotaging you and because they kept putting you through more trauma, they kept trying to kill you, they kept trying to sabotage your work, they kept attacking your body, so that they kept trying to attack my legs specifically, right? And especially, and again, they found that there was an opening when we moved, and I've talked about that before, that the devil will find an opening in just you existing, right? And so through these people who have, been our flop houses for demonic entities, they found this opening, and I got hit with what I had been able to fight when I was in Sacramento. because it's not the first time that I felt pain. It's like all of a sudden I'll feel a pain in my thighs or whatever, and that's not, I'll feel hot foot or whatever. And I before I did this podcast, I had to chant the mantra because I know I recognize the signs. When people are doing heavy risk witchcraft on you, I don't know about you, but it feels like a flurry, like if dirt and dust and leaves were whirling around you and hitting your face, kind of, right? That's what it feels like. So when they're sending shit to you, you're going to feel it. It's going to whirl around in your energy because they, like a tornado, because they're sending their intentions to you. It's not necessarily the ritual, though I think certain things are symbolic, but it's not necessarily the ritual, it's the projection of demonic, evil, murderous intentions towards you that starts to manifest. As I explained at the beginning when I first started my channel in older podcasts, particles collected become dense, create a wave. That wave collects more particles, becomes dense, even more dense, with intention, right? If you've ever worked like I work in uh, graphic design animations, I use Adobe After Effects, and they have some plugins and They had trap code. They had trap code form. They had which was waves, right? You have all these particles, and you could use an image and kind of make it 3D, and that's what it is. But you have all these particles first, and then when they become dense with the intentions. So imagine this: when you become new to Christ consciousness and you start praying and you say, okay, I'm not seeing any results because you have just changed frequencies. So now, when I snapped out of being, or tapped out of being a mammy and a people pleaser for other people, I changed frequencies. People were mad because I didn't have the same energetic address that they could tap into. That's why people are mad now, because you don't have the same energetic address to where people can tap in, because you recognize that this is a foreign entity in your empire. So you called the guards to take care of them and to block them, right? And so now they're mad because ET can't phone home anymore. They have to actually start living, you know, living from the energy that they put out. You know, so if you start feeling itchy, like all of a sudden, and I'm there, and I don't mean to be too out there, but when you have somebody who's lusting over you, and all of a sudden your private parts start itching, or you start, you know what I mean, you start feeling lustful yourself, and you were just fine. You're driving, you're on a walk, and all of a sudden it comes to you, right? Like somebody had something wrong with their rectum, severely wrong with their rectum. I don't know where I picked this up or how I picked it, but it's not something that I want to pick up because I don't live that way. No, thank you. Right? So as empaths, when you have to become aware, and there's great books out there on empathy and how to protect yourself, right? How to discern what is yours and what is not yours. Okay, erectile, something wrong with the buttocks or whatever that this person had. All of this person with herpes who had been stalking me, the Jezebel, succubus, right? And didn't realize. I was like, okay, you have herpes and other health, I mean, severe health issues that this woman has. And what she likes to do is project herself onto other people. This woman had sat, and when people are sitting in your energy and they're quiet about it at first because, I mean, actually, it's not at first. They're really kind of arrogant, at least, Um, but people will sit in your energy. They will lead. They will tap into you in some place. And I don't like it when people say, "Oh, well, you just got to do this." No, 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 no. I fasted for 3 years. I mean, like seriously, off and on, fasted. Right? I had these people try and literally break down my legs, break down my feet, on top of cause me stress. I've had people attach spirit husbands and wives to me, and I remove them, and they do it right back because that's all they do, right? So here, going back to the topic, is we have to work 2 times harder. We have to work 2 times harder to preserve our progress and to continue to go forward because these guys have so much time on their hands. Imagine you're getting $3,000 a month for welfare or whatever because you get a crazy check, as we used to call it back in the day. You have Section 8, you get EBT, and you're protecting all of it with witchcraft. So you have the time, the energy, and the resources to be able to do witchcraft on people every single day. To throw I mean, it's not the most effective or efficient time spent. That's not what I would be doing. That's not what I've done. Where I know for me and probably many of you, I worked 2 jobs and still had the time to write down my dreams and my goals for Phoenix's Rising Academy and Blue Phoenix Rising Media LLC. In the midst of people trying to sex traffic me and break into my van. In the midst of just knowing that every time I went to work, I would have some astral terrorist, assassin, or remote viewer. There was never a day where I had quiet or peace because some way, somehow, I actually had this, and I've said, so there's times when we're dealing with these narcissists, with these cluster B personalities, and they become so obsessed about winning in a competition that they created all by themselves. That's what we're fighting. We're fighting their delusions of grandeur about themselves and about being able to beat us because you're not on our level. When I realized that during my journey, and which is what I want you guys to realize, is that they're not on your level. They never were. So I learned to keep my mouth shut because why am I going to talk with people who aren't even in my area code? I'm way above your pay grade. Now, you may conjure a higher level demon, but it doesn't mean that you were built for that demon. And therefore, you may think that that demon is going to defend me or defeat me, but you don't realize I had, and people don't realize that our spiritual team and our ancestors are yoked up. When I realized that all I had to do was command help, right? I'm not really I'm a commander, but I don't command. I was like, yeah, I'll call my guides in a heartbeat by name, by name, and have them come in. I had to do that one time when I realized that one of my stalkers was doing witchcraft and eyes itching and everything else. And anytime your eyes itch or you start to feel like you're sleepy or whatever, that's them trying to make you go into a slumber and look around you and look if anybody's watching you or anybody's shifting. because what they're trying to do is kind of like a pickpocket, but only through spiritual means. They're astral projecting, and then they're going in and saying, okay, so now I've gotten her to be distracted or to feel confused or whatever, so she'll end up leaving her backpack. This has actually happened to me on several different occasions, and I started to catch on, but then when I moved, it was like, okay, you're doing the same thing. And it was because I wouldn't let this person in. So they said, okay, if you're not going to let me in and live vicariously through you, then I'm going to steal your stuff. And I sensed when the person got my stuff, they were putting on my cologne, everything. That was how desperate this person, I mean, like people who want to body snatch you, it's a serious thing. It's a serious state of mind that these cluster bees go through. And the more powerful you are, the more irate they become because they don't like losing. But it's very frustrating to have to, where people are telling you that you're lazy, or the cluster B is saying, oh, you're lazy, you're stupid, that's why you've gained so much weight. There's, I do all this for you and you don't give me any thanks. I took out the garbage. But what they're not saying is that you had to remodel the floor, right? You had to take out the sink, put in a new sink, redo the plumbing, and then redo the floor. So you taking out the garbage, the cluster B taking out the garbage, really is irrelevant because you could have done that shit too. You see what I'm saying? They don't want to work, but they love watching us beg for measly crumbs. But these guys, I mean, I know the ones that I have met, they're on welfare, they're on retirement, or they have somebody, they're playing housewife, and they have somebody who's making good money, and they can stay at home and watch soap opera reruns because they have no intentions of putting into the community. They have no other purpose but to steal, kill, and destroy. And some of these guys, as somebody said it, the pastor said it today, he said, you got to understand, many of these rich people and elites, they've been this in their bloodline. I know I didn't think about that. You know what I mean? You hear this bloodline stuff and it kind of just goes in one ear and out the other sometimes, most of the time. And but today when he said it, I said, oh. So when people say, oh, I've heard people talk about narcissists and say, well, narcissists didn't start out that way. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They started looking for signs at 12 and 13. So you can't say, like he said, it's like this is in their blood. Greatness is in my blood. Right? And somebody said, oh, well, you guys are, it's probably in past lives, and you guys know these people that have been coming after me, there is no past life that I've had with them at all. They sensed, again, they have an acute sixth sense when it comes, because that's what they feed. They're hunters. They feed. So we're having to work. I'm praying over my fur babies because we've already lost 3. And I'm feeling the weakness, the inability to protect, and that's what it was done for. So when my grandbaby was puking and was sick, right? And I heard of a human having this, and they said, oh, it's the black goo. I said, oh my God, that's what it's called. I never knew what it's called because she was shitting and throwing up black goo. And one of the people who had done it came past our van, and I got a picture of her. And they didn't care. I mean, do you know how scary really it is to be minding your own business and focused, and you have a covenant of witches a coven of witches, uh, and they're all dressed in black. And I mean, I remember these guys coming up to me, and they were dressed in black, and I passed them, and I felt something, and because I'd always prayed, make sure, please, angels, I call you forth, and to let us know. Don't let anybody around us within 1,000 feet of us before we can react, before we see them. And every single time, my angels and my guides were like, boom, red flag. I mean, I had one of my guides say, I said, you know what, these guys have been just trying to kill me, and I'm so exhausted, and I know I'm trying, but I don't know, you know what I mean? And my guide just said, you're hard to kill. You're hard to kill. And when you say that, hey, I've had people trying to kill me for no reason, but that I exist as a supernatural being, and I vibrate high anyway. I'm just naturally happy, and I'm in my own head. I mean, you know what I mean, which most Virgos are, and I'm content, and I'm a giver, and I'm a healer. I can sit in a room and heal it. You know, but a lot of anyway. So I was reflecting after all that. I was reflecting because the Most High was like, no, you had to starve yourself. They made you do. You know what I mean? It's like I had to starve myself because I had several people coming at me. I remember it was before I quit smoking. They tried to kill me, and they were trying to give me a heart attack. And I remember, um, and I think somebody was trying what they were trying to do. It gave me a heart. It didn't give me a heart attack. I didn't have a heart attack, but there was a real pain. And I'm just so, I told the Most High God today, I said, you know what, I'm just so shocked. Like, I mean, nobody's going to believe this unless they've actually gone through it. Somebody was literally trying to insert themselves, like Get Out, they were trying to insert themselves into my body to take it over. Now, I don't know what got into this delusional twits, I mean, but it hurt. It hurt, it hurt, it hurt. And I know that after that, then they were trying to cause me to have a heart attack. Somebody came into my energy, and basically what I saw in was spiritual vision, was spiritual eyes, was a person, and I've had a male sit like it's almost as if like okay, um, oh God, what is that? Al, Al from I forget, but they're alchemists. Okay, and his name is Al, and he lost his body. They were doing a transmutation, trying to bring their mother back, I believe. And so Al is one of the brothers, and I forget the name. It was a good anime, but Al he basically was put in this knight armor, and so it was like somebody, and every once in a while his brother will sit in, who still had his body, just a few limbs missing, I believe, um, would sit in Al, or somebody, Al would hide people inside of himself. That's what it is. It's like people will come into your energy but literally sit in your body as if you are housing them, right, as if you're hiding them, right, like a mecha, you know, like like you're a mecha, and you have a driver who wants to drive you, and they got to sync with you, correct? They got to sync with you, kind of like Tesla and Elon Musk are doing. You got to sync with this AI, you got to sync with this chip, so we can know what you're doing, etc., etc., etc. So imagine, I mean, watching people come in and out of your body, watching people with MS. Somebody had a stroke. Somebody had a heart attack. Somebody had high blood pressure. I have somebody who every time and this is the importance of clearing your chakra, is to get rid of the rituals and the curses and the spells that were attached to you, because sometimes people are attaching using your organs. right? I have somebody who's attached themselves to my heart because they feel that if I don't even know what gets in. See, this is what I don't get. I'm like, you guys, after somebody slanders me and everybody thinks that I'm the, you know what I mean? This goes, it's like they love and hate you at the same time, but these people are crazy. If I let you go, if you remove me, my presence, my essence from the organ that I have attached myself to keep myself alive, then I'm going to die. Good, die. You never had any permission in the first place. So imagine you're out there, you're trying to do your job, right? You're at work and you're doing your job, and boom, you get hit with some type of witchcraft ritual or something, right? And it makes you feel dizzy. Now, do you understand how unsafe this is? Right? So you're all of a sudden just getting hit with bombarded with all this witchcraft. Everybody is directing all of their evil intentions and their body in their health issues, their physical disabilities onto you. And you just ran 6 miles that morning. You did a little bit of dumbbell workout, weightlifting. You come in, you have a spinach smoothie and maybe some eggs and a couple pieces of turkey sausage, and you go about your business because you know what I mean. So you know yourself. The importance of knowing yourself is because other people are studying you in order to hook themselves onto you and have a parasitic symbiotic relationship. But just to think that you're at work and you're minding your own business and you're trying to focus on your job and you're being bombarded. Who can deal with that every day? So sometimes the working twice as hard is mostly in the spiritual and cerebral than, and intellectual than the physical, because they don't want to make themselves known. I mean, you could be a stalker. I mean, even if stalkers really don't give a shit, but it's like they don't want to be seen. If I can stalk you by astral terrorizing you and you don't even know that I'm there. I remember having the succubus say, "I can see you." I looked around, I said, and she was right on the right side of me, right? And that's where they still attach. I mean, I've seen them do things in the astral realm when they think that you don't have any gifts or anything. But think about this, where you have, and then they're sabotaging you. So then after going after you and the spiritual doesn't work to their liking, then they start attacking your business. Then they start attacking people around you to get them to see you in a different light. And sometimes that's not them. They don't even have to go up and talk if if the person if they can find a coworker in that environment, right, that has a soft has something, an issue, right, that has a hole, they're going to take it, they're going to attach to them. And I've said in other podcasts, it's like I've seen that. How do I create chaos in somebody else's life? I'll be sitting there calm in my job, doing my duties, and all of a sudden it'll feel like pins and needles. I have never had pins and needles. I am always walking. I am stretching. Then they tried to mess with my circulation. So this is the having to work 10 times harder. Not just 2 times harder, having to work 10 times harder because they want us to stress and to strain and to feel like we're never going to make any headway. And unfortunately, I'll say this, not to take away from anybody, but sometimes, and I'm just going to say it, sometimes when you do get that opening through, and there's no, because I know that the battle was supposed to be done 3 years ago, right? I know that for a fact for me, personally, my journey. God said it was already done. It was finished. It was actually finished in 2019, but give some grace period, I guess, quote unquote. And this person kept going, kept going, kept going, kept going, and kept trying to kill me, kept trying to kill me, kept trying to kill me, kept trying to kill me. Think about this, where you have people who are energetically throwing so much pure, unadulterated, unfiltered evil. I have caught coworkers that have shapeshifted in front of me, looking like absolute demonic entities, facial just demonic. You know how hard that is. I understand how hard it is. And so in those times where we feel like we have to work 10 times harder, right? And no, but it's different. It's not like, oh, well, because I live in a white world or whatever. It's not even that. It's a spiritual thing. That's just one of the vehicles that they use as a means of oppression. Because other white people get different forms of oppression, right? The enemy has found a way, just like when you go to Canada and you have a refrigerator, you got to change the plug. The enemy is knowledgeable about their target. They have to be. And especially they're going to be, because they don't want to look like a fool. I don't want to get my ass kicked, and that's when some of mine made that mistake. And I'm not bragging. I just, I will let you guys know. People think that the Most High God, or the oppressor who gave us white Christianity, wants to believe that the Most High God, the true living God, is very docile or a narcissistic parasite like themselves. And he is not. And there is an actual he energy, very masculine. He is not. I was directly told, because of these guys continuing, and sometimes you may even have gotten, the Most High said, hey, if you need, the Most High is never ever 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 going to leave you high and dry, ever, ever, ever. We second guess because we are in the world, but we don't realize that we're not of it. And that's the time, because if God lets me know that you can pump holes in people, yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying that you know what I mean. I'm saying it how I'm saying it, but I'm not bragging about it. It's just, because I don't want to do that. That's another level. But I was willing, because these guys go, with cluster B personalities, and if you are already a super empath, right? And there's no sign of you conforming at all to their will or way. And when we super empaths get tired of bullcorn from the narcissist, from the cluster B personality, oh, we're nuking. We're nuking. I want no, I mean, I'm a Virgo too. Oh, please. I want nothing standing. I want no residue. None. You didn't even exist at all. Right? But you have to become aware of yourself first. You have to do the work. You have to get to the 4 steps. You have to go through these steps to be able to reveal, heal, grow, and show, to be able to identify your own triggers, so that way you know what to pray for and what to watch out for. Right? When I realized that I was impatient, I said, you know what, God, you've always blessed me. When I look back, I have never been in poverty minded. It was me being impatient, and I sabotaged myself through my impatience. That's what I learned, because I was like, okay, this hurts and I don't like it. As being somebody who grew up as an abused child, I was beat with vacuum pipes, electrical cords, 2x4s, broomstick handles, right? Had even some cast iron skillets thrown at my head. I still have the scar for that. Okay, so and I'm a Generation Xer, so that was just the way it was. Some things will never change, but it was the way that it was. And I survived. I made it through. You made it through. So, it's going back enough and going deep enough in your journey, allowing me to guide you so that you can see yourself authentically, right? You cannot be your authentic self if you still have a sugar-coated, hollow version of yourself. That's what I realized. I had to ask the Most High God, show me as I am and not as I want to be. And a lot of times it's not pretty. It's rather ugly. So ugly, right? But you have to go this route, because if you don't know yourself, you are going to be prey. You are going to constantly be a victim, right, of cluster B predators, of narcissists. You're going to constantly be giving, 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 giving. Now I realize, because when I looked back, I said, you know what? If it wasn't for my impatience, I would have had another life. I would have had a whole nother life. If it wasn't for me reading materials that I was not mature enough for, and with my sensitivity, because I didn't know myself. I didn't know, like, I watched JoJo's, oh, was it JoJo's Beautiful Adventures or something like that? And watched this, and it was so intense. And my friend had said, I was working at the library, and my friend had said, you need to stop watching that. Now, she would project herself. She would look in on me. She liked me, and I liked her. So that was okay, right? Um, Back to the lady at the psychic fair. She was an Australian lady at the psychic fair who said that this woman astral projected to her, and they're just connecting to you, right? And then they're astral projecting to you. But she said the lady astral projected to her, just to sidetrack a little bit, but to come back around. The lady astral projected to her to find out information. She said that's a violation, like breaking a window and entering. You burglarize somebody, right? So for those of you who think that astral projecting is cool, one of these days you're going to find somebody who can also astral project and do something to you that you're not going to come back from, and you're going to be a vegetable, because that is possible. I actually locked somebody in the astral realm and they weren't expecting it. So I'm brought up this topic because I realized that a lot of us, because the world doesn't stop, the kids still need loving, dogs still need to go for a walk and attention and affection, you know. And I don't have anybody, for those of us who don't have anybody in our lives, or we're just totally solo, you know, to have all this extra stress works on the body as well, right? So the thing that I do is I've learned to take time off. I've also learned to make withdrawals from my spiritual bank account, right? I have already worked. There's already debts from these karmics that have to be paid. Like we're good for over 40 generations in my bloodline now, right? And this is what it's about, because there is nothing new under the sun, is what it says in the Bible, right? So that means that souls come in, they go out. They come in, they go out. They come in, they go out. So if ever you think that your work on this earth, in this realm, in this plane, in this time, in this dimension is irrelevant, you are poorly mistaken, because you will have to come back to the same pattern. Do you understand? You will have to come back, and you will have to reap the not tilling the soil, right? It's like, what talents did you get? What charge did you have? What was your job here? What was your purpose? That's the talent. What is your purpose? Why didn't you get on it? Some of it is just, some of us, the purpose is just to make sure that we are obedient and meet at the corner of E Street and Falalfa, and to meet one person to change their life and ours. And you know what I mean? And how can you do that if you're on TikTok, or if you're arguing and fighting, if you're not raising your vibration, if you're not, sometimes it's not even, if you don't want to chant or meditate or pray or do the Psalms or whatever, just sit still and breathe. And really, it is just as simple as asking a question. I asked a question, I got the revelation, I got the answer. But I knew I was looking for it. I was waiting, because it's like I'm waiting for a delivery now, right? I'm expecting, because I've asked, and as I said, my words do not return unto me void, right? So the way that, again, just the way that I deal with this overwhelming, because it is, you have to work 2-3 times harder when you're dealing with cluster B personalities, because their whole point is to discredit you, destroy your faith, and get you back to doing other things. I was like, and there's times where there was, what was it, a couple days ago, I think, and I had thought to myself, why do I feel like this little black girl again, and I'm not, right? Like, she's taken care of, and I'm like, oh, no, 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 because what they'll try and do. So for me, I know that they have sabotaged me and sabotaged me and sabotaged me, and now I'm not being sabotaged. So this person is mad because they know that I'll build up. Imagine somebody who is so mad that you are moving on. I mean, and this is cluster B's. They don't want. They are in a competition with their own partners, with their own wives, with their own husbands. They're in competition, covert or overtly. They're in competition. So imagine somebody. I mean, and I can't deal with it. I wouldn't. Somebody who's with you, who's married you and everything else, but they're in competition with you. So death do you part is like literal for them, right? So my thing is to do not take the time out, right? And also, one thing I don't have to take on everything at once. And I was just reminded this tonight, because I'm like, okay, God, I don't know what to do, because when I moved to my new place, I was just, because of everything that had happened in such a short time, and I was so grateful. So be in gratitude. I was so grateful because God had gotten me through. Even though I wasn't obedient, God had gotten me through. Okay? Like, and I'm still having to remind myself, be obedient, don't get sunken into this place. And I got my energy back, but I was leery of having my energy back and expressing that energy, because it's not just our personal cluster bees that we have to deal with. It's a society that is demon possessed. I was on the train today, and I'll probably post them up on my TikTok. I was on the train today, and I kept having these security guards. Now, they're not police officers, but they dress and they act and they mimic police officers, which is illegal. But I used to work for the company, and that's what they do. They're sick, the company. And it's not the other one that I was with, it's a different one. Um, but I noticed that they kept following me. They were honed in on me, something fierce. And I thought, okay, this is a demon possession. I just cleared my chakra. I just said my mantra, prayers, before getting in the habit of doing that. So it was weird. But even when I got home, I still had that attack. So I knew that it was a spiritual attack, and they had been attacked. They had been attached to. It wasn't me. Because they had already seen, so I was like, okay, God, help me to work this out so I don't. Because one thing that the demons want you to do is lose your cool. And I am very good, because when I get hot, when I lose my temper, if I black out, it's a wrap, right? And I haven't done that in a minute. I haven't done that since I was homeless, and I haven't done that. Yeah, I haven't done that since I was homeless. I lost my temper in a waking state. And God decided that He was going to confuse me so that I wouldn't. So God has your back, you guys. Don't worry about it. You got your back. But now is the time, especially I know some things you don't always have to do. Just to finish the thought is that I was like, okay, I got to be rebuilt. I got to get this. I got to get that. No, you don't. You know, like I realized it's like, what? I'm just going to focus on work right now. I would like to do this. I would like to do that, but I can't. Right. So, and I just asked, it's like, I don't know what you have in store for me or if I'm still even on the right track right now sometimes, but hey, I'm going to wait for your divine guidance. And when you tell me to jump, I'm going to ask how high because it's you. I told somebody the other day at my job, I said, if you want me to stay later, I will stay later because you always put me on your crew and I always have work with you. As soon as she left, somebody came and they tried to screw me out of hours and as well as intimidate me. You see what I'm saying? So, and that's how God is. It's like I continue to tell people God blesses better than Satan ever can. You got the fame of the world or whatever. I got it in multi dimensions. Because, see, in this temporal, most people don't know certain artists or whatever's name. But I'm known throughout multi dimensions of being a demon slayer, aka Narc Slayer, aka Cluster B Slayer. You feel me? So take a deep breath, find some time for yourself, go in, get some Epsom salt. I was like, what, I'm gonna, and that's what I was like. It's like, what, there's never too late just to treat yourself, and that's what the cluster B. When you leave a cluster B personality, when you leave the malignant narcissist, they don't want you moving on. They don't want you because you're property, and they don't want you, and that's the sociopath. That's why I say it's a cocktail. People's like, well, why? I'm not even around them. I'm 15,000 miles away, and I still, I don't even know how. If I wouldn't have believed it if I didn't see it. That these people, two of them, came down to where I'm at. Came down here, right? So I didn't go chasing after you, right? But the Most High God places me, I and I'm taken care of. I'm still in you. Sometimes we can still be in our purpose phoenixes, but it's not going to look the way that we had imagined it to look. And that's okay, right? But don't give up hope either. I'm just saying that when you're dealing with the cluster bees, because we got to work 2 times harder and they're going to work 2 times harder to sabotage us even more and set us back. But just remember, and I mean, whether you believe it or not, because I'm kind of a doubting Thomas sometimes, I'm like, okay, I haven't experienced that, but, but I don't stick in that energy. I'm just like, okay, God, well, if you say it, then it's going to be that way. I'm not going to think about it because I don't want to sabotage it when it comes anyway, so I'm just going to have faith that believe that you are going to do what you say you do. You're not man. You're a spirit. You're an energy. You're a being of higher intelligence than they give you credit for, right? So I'm just living. I go to work, make sure that my rent's paid, make sure, my other bills are paid, and then I go and enjoy. Like it was so weird because then I was like, God dang it. You know, you pay attention to how you're feeling. I said, oh my gosh, why am I feeling, because I've had recent run-ins with these people, with the stalker, and it was scary, right? When you have somebody who is trying to kill you, you were no way around them. They followed you and now they're mad because you're talking to other people, but they know that they never had a chance in the fucking first place, right? Like, hopefully, you guys don't haven't dealt with cluster B personalities who are this cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But if you have, you got to support in me because I know what it's like. You know, there's no you haven't done anything to this person, but here they are. So, but learn to take out time for yourself. Do something. I also look for things to make me laugh. You know, sometimes I get triggered and I cuss people out, and that's okay. I stuck up for myself one time, and God, it was 3 weeks ago, and I said I don't want to be treated like this, and I knew that I fell on deaf ears, and I felt a bit embarrassed, but I also felt afraid of retaliation because why? I stood up to a group of narcissists, and that's a no-no for them and their grandiose sense of self, right? But nothing ended up happening. I got blessed. Ooh, I got blessed. And I was so grateful, because so I just know God, and God had to remind me, God will always provide for you. But, take a step back and don't be afraid to tell the Most High God, write it in your journal, get a box, decorate it, put God box on it somewhere, and get slips of paper, sticky notes or whatever you want to do. Write on there your question, write on there your prayer, write on your asking for help, you know, and put it in that box and check it, especially at the during the new year, you know, because right now that's what what I feel like the Most High God wants us to do is really just relax. That's what I'm kind of feeling, and it's really hard when we have been in the constant pattern of do, go, you know, fo. I mean, you know what I mean? Like fight. And it's hard for us warriors sometimes to just breathe and rest. Like I know I had 3 days off and I had to do something every day. I mean, I really did because it was like I was thinking to myself, I'm literally talking to myself like, this is weird. Like I got to do something. So, anyway, we have to work 2 times harder when we're dealing with obsessed cluster B personalities or when we're in a cluster B relationship because they're always sabotaging and siphoning us to where we feel weak, we feel incompetent. They're slandering us, trying to make us feel a bit bad. So when we get out of there and they're still stalking us or they're still harassing us, they're still sending flying monkeys, right? Just know their time is coming, but our time right now is just to rest because God sees what you've done and you did it. Even though it hurt, even though it was painful, even though it was expensive, even though it isolated you, you still did it. You were still obedient. And God is a rewarder. And it doesn't have to be in the by and by that you get your reward. It can be in the here and now. But you have to have patience and you have to make sure that you've cleared your chakra, that you have, written your gratitude list, that you've chanted your mantra. And I'm not just saying, oh, I am this. And I mean, make your affirmations, you know what I mean? Make your decrees and your declarations. That's basically what those are. I decree I am the master of my own empire. I decree that I have the ability to withdraw millions and billions of dollars from my uh, uh, spiritual bank account, and therefore I am never broke. Right? Things like that. And sometimes, if you don't want to go anywhere, don't go anywhere. I've learned just to lay in the bed, and that's it. I can listen to music. It doesn't have to be, I don't have to watch a movie. I don't have to do anything like that. I can just listen and lay down, rest my bones, Right? All right, Phoenixes. Hopefully this helped you guys a little bit. Um, Let me know what you guys think, okay? Put a heart in the comments, and just to let you guys know, and let me know that you're in His love and in His care and in His protection. All right? I love you, Phoenixes rising. And remember, your blessings are in your ashes. Rise.